First Reformed is the new drama thriller film directed and written by Paul Schrader. If you're unfamiliar with him, he wrote the film Taxi Driver supposedly in 2 days. And that was that was probably the movie that launched Robert De Niro's career. But essentially, Paul Schrader's back, and this time Ethan Hawke plays Reverend Toller. He is a reverend for this really small church. It's a really old church that only has about 5 people in the congregation every Sunday. We find out later that it's sort of a figurehead church. It's just there because it's old. They give this spot to him because he used to be a soldier, but he retired due to some grievances. So Reverend Toller, he does his best to keep the church going, even though no one goes there, essentially. Most people go to the other church, the one with the youth group and the choir. So there's special characters introduced throughout. There's Esther, this woman who loves him, but he keeps her at bay. There's also his sort of boss, the other reverend, who tries to, they're setting up a special 250th anniversary for the church. Toller is given his big challenge when one of his congregation asked to meet with her husband. Mary is a pregnant woman. Her husband, Michael, is very distraught, so Toller visits and finds out that he's an extreme environmentalist. He has this very dark outlook about how the environment is going to be destroyed in a matter of decades and will not be able to be livable in the far future. So he's worried about his future child living in this landscape. So he's in a pit of despair, and Toller has to sort of help him get out of it. And then some events happen, and we find Reverend Toller writing in his journal a lot. We get a glimpse of his mind, but he starts sort of falling for this other man's ideology, and it becomes a sort of thriller in the sense that he wants to do something about it. And when he does more research, he finds out that the big church is actually funded by this giant corporation that's got some really shady practices going on. So the acting's phenomenal, for one thing. Ethan Hawke, I love him because he usually sticks to smaller indie things. And Amanda Seyfried does a good job as well. The whole cast does a really good job. The movie is really weird. It's like a modern day Taxi Driver, I'd say. The ending is just completely strange, though. It might go over your head. I don't know what to think of it. It was definitely interesting, though. It kept my attention for the full 2 hours. So I give First Reformed a 7 out of 10.